back, everyone. N55 Mors. I know it's been a while, but I promise you this is worth the wait. Now, let's give my N55 a little more power. For today, we are going to be putting in a new high pressure fuel pump. For those who don't know, that's the fuel pump all the way down there. So to get to that, we got to remove the intake manifold. I must spare you guys all the accessories, such as removing my own strut bar, removing the underbracing, a bunch of E-Torques. I believe that's the E18, I forget the size of this. These you just swivel 10 millimeters to the side, so on and so forth, and some 10 millimeters underneath. So I'll skip that, guys, for you. Don't forget to connect the battery. If not, you will end up charging the fuel system. So I have my car prepped. Alrighty, now I'll meet you guys back with all the fluff taken out the way. So, just removing items in the way of the intake manifold. We'll take apart two O2 sensors. It's a simple push down tab. And don't you worry, you can't mix these up. They're actually keyed. So, then just wiggle out the tension bracket and then push down and pull apart. As some of you may know, I have a EWG. That means I do not have some vacuum references point, one being right here, as well as I believe the vacuum boost solenoid. I'm not 100% sure some of the PWGs have behind here. But once again, I have an EWG, so I don't have that. So move those out the way. Next, I'm going to go after my charge pipe. Once again, I just pull up on the charge pipe clip. I do have a VRSF aftermarket one, which I believe, once again, if you're doing this mod, you probably have one as well. A straight pick and attack it from the front. I know some people completely prefer it this way as well, but either or, as long as the job gets done. As always, err with caution, as sometimes the plastic is brittle. There that is. Then there's a bolt here. I'll go 10. Yep. And I'll back that bolt off to get to the top portion of the charge pipe. Here you go. And actually, they're pretty clean inside of the pipe.
That's what she said.
Not a lot of blow by, so happy. This N55 is happy as well. And don't forget to scrub a cloth so nothing gets stuck in here. Alrighty, we're in really good shape. Let's remove this connection here. The spring. Just push it in and out. It's quite simple. And then this simply just slides off the grommet. There's another connection underneath, which is a lot like the vacuum hoses, but I don't think it'll be in the way, so I'll just pull it off and push it down for now. If it's in the way, then of course I'll attend to it later. Just remove some of these lines from the clips. Push it out the way. course, we have this guy here. Once again, another clip. Pulls back on the tab. And back. Or once again, use a pick. I'll get the 90-degree angle this time. Take that off. This one as well. I believe the clip is underneath. Yes, it is. Zoom it in for you guys. And I'm just gonna put the 90-degree pick tool underneath this tab and pull back. Okay, to hopefully have everyone situated at a better angle, we'll take off these two T25s, and to take off this little bracket, to give you guys a close-up, this little tab here, you push down, and then, as you can see, it's starting to come apart. I have a little pry tool or screwdriver. Kind of hard to do with one hand, so I'll throw you back on the tripod, but just kind of show you what I'm doing. This will gate swing open, letting you to remove these wiring harness. This here, as you can see, the end of the tool is just a grommet, so that pulls straight up. And then the back of this connection is just kind of slid on. It's like a rail system. We push it forward, unclips it, and now we have this piece removed. Now it's time for the DME connection. Once again, try to get really right into it. You can see them here. Camera focus. This little tab is what you want to push down on, and then you can move the lever over. You push down the tab with one finger. Easy with two hands, but I want to give you guys a demonstration. Down and over, and that's how you disconnect it. If you're scared you might put them in the wrong order, take a picture, paint marker, or whatever the case may be. So that's what we shall do. I'll put you guys back on the tripod and I'll tackle these other ones. Or on second thought, might just bang them all out now. That's two. And you see that's three. See, once again, to give yourself some surety, I like to think they're keyed, but I don't know, so I will not speak from what I've not experienced. So I have one, there's three, and then I believe down here is two. There it is. So now we got to remove the other three connections. There's 1, 2, and 3 at the back. So I just labeled this one T for top, this one for bottom. So the one in the back you gotta get first. If you ever do like a quad lock, it's very similar. I'm gonna pull down the bottom of it. Once I get it out, I'll show everyone. So here we have the bottom of what would be the quad lock. You pull all the way out and all the way back. And these ones here, I'll get my hand out the way, are the normal side pin. So I'll get these out and we'll continue with the removal. Alrighty, as we see, this last one kind of gave me quite the hard time. However, what I will do, I'll remove the 11mm nuts and the studs that are holding the intake onto the head. That way, this is kind of long, so a little bit more wiggle room trying to take it out, as well as the last connection on this metal body. To get you guys up close and personal, that's another vacuum clip. And we see we have, reset the zoom. for the throttle body. You can see that clip there. It's another squeeze and pull. So I'll just get my two hands on it to get a better leverage. You can see the two connections there. And then once again, I just take the final DME connection after these are off and the intake manifold is fully removed. And just to follow up, as I said before, this is just like all the vacuums line. So once again, if you had automatic, it'd be a lot easier for you because you've been doing a bunch of these. And the throttle body clip, I'm trying to film with one hand. Oop. This is actually, I put a pick tool underneath here. You could hear that tab. So it's underneath like that and push away. And there we have it. Factory intake manifold finally has been fully removed. So I guess as a quick fun clip, let's see how bad the 122,000 kilometer valves are. Oh, not the worst. Let me try taking off the flash with the flashlight. Yeah, not as bad. On the side of caution, now that we have the valves open, I will go ahead and tape them up so nothing, of course, can fall in. Okay, hopefully I get a good enough shot for everybody. So now we have the intake runners locked off. I'm now going to undo the nut for the low pressure line towards the high pressure fuel pump. Of course, I'll remove the high pressure line as well, but if I start down here, hopefully some fluid drips out. Once again, this is a great time to make sure that your battery is disconnected. Hopefully you didn't take out the DME with it connected anyways, but just wanted to double check. Not too bad, but you want to just start very slow, and yes, it is a 17. So I didn't see any fuel squirt out or even start dripping for that matter. So you can. There it is. So that's fully disconnected as well. Use another clean microfiber cloth and disconnect the line. That one did give a little spurt, mostly air since we did disconnect the low pressure side. And last but not least, the last nut there underneath high pressure side of the high pressure fuel pump. Get a lot more fuel there. I can feel this definitely soaking up the cloths. That's why it's a great idea to put all of them there, as we do not want loose gasoline inside the engine bay. Try to take it back and up. Try to contain as much fuel as possible. There is the high pressure line. Now that we got all the connection to the fuel pump disconnected, we had to remove off, I'll assume, a harness, question mark? So there are two bolts that are holding this in. It is almost impossible to really get a good angle or really show everyone. However, if you could see somewhere the rust right underneath, there it is. You can see that head of the bolt. That's one, and I believe there will be on one on the other side. I don't know the size, so I'll make sure to drop that in the annotations. And after we remove this, then the low pressure line is ready to be removed. To give you guys an up close shot of what I was doing. It is kind of difficult. You're kind of fishing. It's just get this low pressure line off the way. You see the two bolt holes that are, of course, here's the other one that spun around. Of course, bolting it to the block. And that's what, of course, this low pressure line you see here now is connected to all the way down there. So at this point, we need to jack the car up so we can finish removing the top portion of the low pressure line. All right, we find ourselves underneath the car. It's jacked up. I had both the center skid tray right around with the transmission and my transfer case, and of course the front. I only did the front just because I ended up dropping a few sockets, so just to kind of retrieve them a little easier. So this is their low pressure line. It's also attached to a little pin here, of course, that's serrated edge end, so of course they just fall apart. So no worries, I'll just put a zip tie and hold this assembly down. So basically what we're looking at is this. I know it's kind of a hard angle, but basically this black collar gets pushed up while the line gets pushed down. Might be a little bit of fight, especially if you're laying on your back underneath the car on the ground compared to on the lift, but that's just how it is. And there you have it. One trick I use a 12mm wrench and just use that to get around the collar while they push down. So as I was pulling this away, I was pulling this out. As you saw too, I also had a good amount of gasoline spray out. So that's why you have the cloth ready and of course a little bit of gloves. And from here, this is the low pressure line. So we can see it kind of snakes through here. So now that it's loose, I'll just kind of pull it all the way up. And that's how you could get the low pressure side of the high pressure fuel pump out. You meet me back on my pseudo workbench. So we have the Fx180. I know we see the Dorch wrapping. It's kind of a hybrid kit, if I'm being honest. I bought the kit used. So a lot of the fuel lines that were sent were, some of them were from Dorch, as the person I bought it from upgraded to a Dorch with the lift kit upgrade. So here we have the unit itself. It's still in really good condition. He sent me logs and everything's still working perfectly fine. And then we have the base plate as well. And honestly, that's pretty much the only thing used in the kit. So from the Dorch kit, it came with the two different pigtail adapters, depending on which model you have, an EWG or PWG. And I got a brand new, it's called a fuel filter kit. So it came with the low pressure lines, a brand new fuel filter. And then off to the side here, I did get some new bolts. And off to the far side, you probably can't see it outside the camera, I have a bunch of spare bolts there. So we're gonna start with the low pressure side. We see the same kind of connection that we used to connect to the bottom. So this is gonna work like this. These are all AN lines. I believe they're -4. I'm not 100%, but they all have a 37-degree flare to them, so they all self-seal. So this will tighten up like that, of course fully tight, and this will tighten up like this. This then, we could drop this down into the engine bay, and this side here will then connect to the pump. We do have a brand new high pressure line. This also is from the Dorch kit. The person I bought it from is still using theirs, so there's no need to rip it out of the car, so they gave me a brand new one. So even though it's a used kit, like a used pump, a lot of the parts are brand new. That's, I'm not too skeptical about everything. So let's assemble the low pressure line, and then we shall install it inside the car. Now meet everyone back in the engine bay. So what we're going to do is remove the fuel pump. It is a T25. It's pretty easy to access. I already started loosening them already, and there's one at the back as well. As well as this connector here. It's very simple. Pull back and remove. And in my case, since I disconnected the pump, it'll all come out in one piece. And there we have the pump. We have the base plate and the alignment tool. So I believe the alignment tool goes down first. Then the base plate over it like that. I once again got brand new hardware, so now I'm converting over to a 5mm Allen. And we're going to slowly tighten the base plate to the car. I'm just letting it touch, and then of course we'll go back and forth till they're both fully torqued down. So we see here the old knock sensor bolt, and of course my new hex that I've been switching to. I can see it. Same threads, I believe it's an M6 by 31, and this is the more common size M6 by 30. Of course, 1mm is not gonna make a difference. So we can see that the head is kind of tall. So I have a little Dremel. It might be a little hard to see, but you can see where the little bottom part is, or the shiny part, and then we see the ridges. So I'm gonna use the Dremel, and I'm gonna cut that right where that is. If it doesn't work, I actually do have another one of these, as well as of course the factory knock sensor bolt that some people kind of just sand down the top, but I'm gonna make a true low profile one. So I've moved everything pertaining to the fuel pump away, because of course I don't want any dust and debris getting inside the fuel system, and of course clogging the injectors. So my Dremel, and of course the little cutoff wheel, and I'm gonna cut right along this line. Successfully machined a slot in our low profile bolt. As mentioned before, we have our new knock sensor bolt. Of course, the knock sensor itself. We'll start it by hand, and with the slot, we'll just use a simple flathead screwdriver. It does not need to be a lot of torque, because we do not want this one to strip, given there's not much to bite on, but that's all it takes. And there we go. We have our custom low profile knock sensor bolt. So now we're ready to drop the pump, as well as get the correct pigtail adapters, depending on which style of N55 that you do have. So I'll remove the alignment tool. Now that's no longer needed. We want the black side facing towards the rear of the car, given that it does have the AN line. And it will drop right down. So then use the bolts, and you bolt this down. Oop, I need a little bit of clocking adjustment. You see where it needs to be and where I need to go, but it's not an issue. So I'll just fight with the alignment and get this down, of course, to where the bolts in the pump line up to the bolts in the plate. Meet you guys back underneath the car. We see the low pressure line that we just fit up from up top. See, we have the same fitting just like the factory. It just goes over this barb. And then this clips right in. There you go, second time's the charm. And you can see that is not going anywhere. Top, fix the line length, and then start to put everything back together. Next time you'll see me inside the car with the laptop adjusting the tune to run this pump. Welcome back, everyone. I meet you on the laptop with Pro Tuning Freaks, boot mod 3, boot mode, whatever you like to address it. So normally you would sign in right about now, go through the splash screen, make sure you have your bootloader loaded up. Once again, this probably is not your first time around. I'm just doing this from the inside, keep it nice and simple, and of course warm, as where I am is starting to cool down. So you go back to your maps, if you don't have it already, or OTS maps. You see stage 2 with 93, no lift shift. I know that's a little thing we're working on here, but what you want is this, stage 2 plus. And of course, pick your exact octane that you would like. So if that is not there already, then what you would do, you go to OTS maps, find the exact map. As you see, there's a bunch to search for. Once again, look for that stage 2 plus. So since I already have it downloaded on my maps, we'll go over to config. You can adjust the burble settings as whatever you like. However, the exact thing that I'm looking for is high pressure fuel pump. This setting right here. I configured this on my phone already. As we could see off to the side of the screen, are the OEM XCI pumps, Dort stage 1s and 2, and of course the 1.5, 2.5 that they just came out with, as well as the lift kits, or I guess the old settings. Nordstrom, which is, I believe, is also the precision race work, and for me, in my case, the spool. So after picking spool, we shall go back, map details, all the way down to the bottom, and make sure you do a flash. After you flash, and after from there, then you should be all ready to rock and roll. Once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And this is N55 Morris. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and see you on the next one.